Beyond the checklist. How small-medium enterprises including small hotels can embed ESG and drive real impact. This article prepared by TSCConsulting. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Supporting SMEs to embed ESG into their operational DNA isn't a nice to have. It's how we unlock cumulative impact far beyond individual businesses. Small and medium-sized enterprises are far more than just the little guys in the economy. Their cumulative impact is enormous. They represent a foundational pillar for sustainable development. Yet, when ESG support for SMEs is superficial, delivered through copy-paste documentation or audits compromised by conflicts of interest, we risk institutionalizing greenwashing rather than transformation. Many SMEs, including small hotels, often perceive ESG certification as a burden, especially when handed ready-made documentation and facing auditor-consultant conflicts. This is why proper training and embedding ESG into operations is critical. 1. The power of SMEs and small hotels. Why their ESG journey matters. SMEs are not a niche category. They are everywhere, and they matter deeply. Among them, small hotels are particularly illustrative. Although individually modest, they collectively influence energy, water, waste, and labor practices across the hospitality sector. SMEs make up around 99% of all firms in many economies and contribute 50 to 60% of value added. SMEs account for 60 to 75% of employment in manufacturing and services. Small hotels directly employ dozens to hundreds of staff, multiplying their social and environmental footprint. Globally, SMEs support the livelihoods of over 2 billion people. 2. The problem. Superficial ESG advice that doesn't stick. Too often, consultancies deliver canned ESG documentation, standard policies, checklists, reports without actually embedding sustainability into daily operations. Small hotels, for instance, may receive pre-filled templates that don't reflect their unique operational realities. Why SMEs see certification as a burden. Lack of operational integration. No real behavioral change. Certification prioritized over transformation. Providing ready-made documentation is not sufficient. Real ESG integration requires training, coaching, and capacity building, especially for SMEs and small hotels that may feel overwhelmed by the process. 3. The auditor-consultant conflict. A paradox at the heart of green certification. A growing issue is the erosion of independence in ESG certification. When certification bodies informally recommend specific consultants and facilities feel pressured to work with them, a perceived or actual conflict of interest emerges. This can result in intimidation, excessively strict interpretations, or punitive attitudes toward facilities that do not use the recommended consultant. Conflict of interest reduces audit quality. Ambiguity in ESG assurance undermines credibility. Operational impact is overshadowed by superficial compliance. When consultants and auditors work together for the same SME, green certification can unintentionally fuel greenwashing rather than genuine transformation. Turkey context. A real-world example of the conflict paradox. The Turkey Sustainable Tourism Program, TGA, clearly defines independence boundaries. TGA explicitly require auditors to declare that they will not engage in consultancy, advisory, or similar activities outside their audit role. Source: TGA Sustainable Tourism Program Auditor Criteria, tga.gov.tr. This is intended to protect audit impartiality and ensure credibility. Structural integrity risks emerging in practice. In practice, some audit firms are informally associated with specific consultants, creating an environment where hotels feel implicitly pressured to work with those consultants to avoid friction or perceived disadvantage during audits. This undermines the impartiality expected from an independent assurance process. Facilities that choose to work with independent consultants have experienced overly strict interpretations, unconstructive communication, or a less supportive audit atmosphere. These dynamics raise questions about whether impartiality and professional judgment are being applied consistently across the sector. When consultancy, audit boundaries become blurred, hotels may fall into a cycle of template documentation plus expedited auditing, preventing genuine operational transformation. Therefore, although the TGA's official prohibition on consultancy by auditors is correct and necessary, incomplete alignment in practice can unintentionally create an ecosystem where procedural compliance overrides genuine sustainability and algorithmic greenwashing loop. 4. The solution. Training plus culture. not just documents. Real transformation comes from embedding ESG into daily operations. First step. Invest in training. All staff must understand ESG principles and their practical role. Internal auditors and sustainability champions should be trained. ESG should be linked to KPIs and performance systems. Second step. Ensure independent assurance. Consulting and auditing must remain separate. Audits should emphasize operational effectiveness over documentation volume. Audit durations must not be shortened. It has been observed that in many well-known accredited audit firms, the audit date on the audit reports do not match the actual on-site audit duration. Third, build a sustainability culture. Review meetings, involvement mechanisms, peer learning. Track real metrics: energy, water, waste, employee well-being. Training and culture shift are what transform ESG from a perceived burden into an operational advantage. 5. Why this matters. Avoiding greenwashing and building trust. Superficial ESG efforts risk greenwashing. Conflicted assurance reduces credibility. Independent audits plus operational embedding will result in real and measurable impact. SMEs and small hotels have tremendous cumulative influence. SMEs, including small hotels, are central to sustainability. Superficial support, template documentation, and conflicted audit ecosystems turn ESG into a green badge exercise. The solution: embed ESG into daily operations through training and culture. Separate consulting from auditing. Measure real-world impact, not just compliance. When ESG is embedded deeply into the DNA of SMEs, their cumulative power drives systemic change, transforming burden into opportunity. For support in setting up sustainability framework for your properties or for training needs, please contact us.